Stop interviewing people for what they've done. Start interviewing them for who they are. Recently, I've had a lot of clients tell me that one of their biggest challenges right now is both recruiting and retaining top talent. And as I've dug into this a little bit and observed it, what I've begun to notice is that it all lies in the sourcing and in the interview process. And what I see happening is that most companies ask a lot of tell me about a time when questions. Tell me about a time when you had to overcome conflict. Tell me about a time where you had to work with others to get a project done. Tell me about a time where you were a top performer and you sold the most and had the best results. And while these questions can be good predictors of future results and behaviors, their past performance oftentimes does tie into what someone's likely to do in the future. It's not as good as questions you could be asking. These questions are rehearsed, they're very common, people practice at them, and they're sort of easier to flub or fluff or make it sound like, oh, I did a great job and I was number one and everybody loved me, when that's not the case. Questions that I would prefer to see interviewers ask are some of these. Tell me about your beliefs and your values. What values do you have in your personal and professional life that you live by? Tell me about your role models and your mentors. Who is it that you look up to? Tell me about the last book you read or the book you're currently reading now. What are you learning from that? Tell me about some of your mistakes and your failures and moments you regret, things that you wish you could go back and do differently in. Tell me about challenges that you've had with a loved one or somebody at work and how you worked through those and what you learned from that. Tell me about why you're not a fit for the role. How are you going to struggle in this role? Tell me about some of your weaknesses. What do you think is going to be a real struggle or challenge for you as you take on this new job? Tell me about a time where you learned something from someone that reports to you. So someone that you were senior to, not somebody that was senior to you or that you reported to. Talk to me a little bit about things you've learned from peers and lessons that you've had from colleagues of yours that were at the same level. The reason that I think all these questions are so much more value is that they tell you about someone's belief systems, how they think, where their mindset is at, and that is of critical importance in understanding how they're going to behave or act in the future. I'm a big believer in a concept called EBAR. Experiences lead to beliefs, beliefs lead to actions, actions lead to results. What you're really testing for is what someone's beliefs are. If someone doesn't have values in their personal life, transparency, authenticity, accountability, integrity, being proactive, whatever it is, they're often not really reflective or thinking about who they want to be. They're not necessarily going to carry out your vision, mission, and core values at the company if they're not even doing that in their own lives. If someone can't tell you about their mistakes, their failures, their regrets, of which we should all have many, they're probably not self-aware or humble or curious about their own growth and development. They might be oblivious to opportunities where they had learning chances and they're too arrogant or egotistical to even see those. All of us have times where we can learn from a peer or someone who reports to us, but someone that's not willing to recognize those and just feels that they can only learn from people senior to them, again, probably kind of an arrogant person, not very coachable. They think they have all the answers. People that don't have a mentor identified or are reading any books aren't probably, again, curious, focused on their own learning and development. And all of these things are likely to be an issue. If people are curious, they have a growth mindset, they embrace failures, they don't mind being uncomfortable, they're very likely to be adaptable, they're very likely to be able to evolve and change over time, they're very likely to be receptive to your coaching. But if they can't talk about those things in an interview or they don't want to, probably not the right fit for you. Too often, I really do believe that we spend way too much time looking at the resume and the experiences and, oh, tell me how this project went or what this initiative was like. And we don't spend nearly enough time trying to dig into how someone's mind works. And again, their values, their beliefs, and how humble they are, how coachable they are, how they embrace failure, mistakes, how they work with other people. And because of that, we get them into the company, they don't do very well, and they don't end up being the top performer we thought they were going to be. Interview for who they are, not what they've done. If you want to talk more about this, there's a lot I could say on this topic. I'm obsessive or passionate at best around interviewing and resumes. This is just a sneak peek of my thoughts, but reach out. I'd love to talk about this with any of you. Make a great day, everybody.